You are watching Limited Resources Draft Series on MTGO Academy featuring Marshall Sutcliffe.
Hey guys, Marshall here from Limited Resources, resizing windows and doing a VMA draft for you here on MTGO Academy. And what do we got? Oh geez. We've got some things. This is a pretty stacked pack. Eternal Dragon's quite sweet. Grindiest of the grindy, wins you the game, gets you some, keeps your mana flowing, can be pretty good. Unfortunately, we have found my friend the Mana War. Now, 3 of the most premium commons are available in this pack. Beetleback Chief, Wild Mongrel, Mana War. They're all excellent, but yeah, I'm a Mana War guy, and I'm going to take the Mana War. This next pack is interesting too. So I think we're probably just going to take the Factor Fiction here, just for value. But I like the fact that there's a Swords of Plowshares, a Trapper, and an Exile. They're all quite good in sort of a controlling deck. Swords is just good generally. Banal's Trapper below these two, but Exile is actually pretty good in that type of deck. They do eventually have to attack you. The only way that they don't is if they're playing Storm or something like that. But I think for us, we just want Factor Fiction. All right. Wow. So here's some stuff. There's a Battle Screech, which I've pre-selected here because I kind of want to be in blue-white, and I think Battle Screech is really good in either type of deck, either in an aggressive deck or in a control deck. It's a perfectly fine finisher / board stabilizer. Don't get too locked into thinking that it's only an aggressive card. It's not. But man, there's 2 Goblin Generals here too, which are really good. And even another Goblin. I guess I'll still just take the Battle Screech. Oh, there's also a Keldoran Outpost, which is quite strong too. Something worth noting there. I don't think it's as good as Battle Screech, though, so that's why I took the Screech. Ophidian or Su-Chi is the decision here, and I'm going to take Su-Chi. I think if we end up being a little bit more on the controlling side, which there's a decent chance that happens, then we're going to rather have Su-Chi, and Su-Chi actually goes in either type of deck quite nicely. Ophidian is a lot more specific. It's a lot more narrow of a card. Obsessive Search, Floodplain. There's a Deathblade Elite, which I'm not super interested in. I'm just going to take the Floodplain here. There's another Deathblade Elite, but even though Radiance Judgment is sometimes good, Baleful Force is too expensive and maybe not the colors we're in. Krovikan Sorcerer is just okay. I'm going to go for Skywing Aven here. Another card that's just okay, to be honest, but we'll take it. I like Carnophage, but I really like Lonely Sandbar. I think that picking up these type of effects is really important early in the pack because they make it into your deck basically no matter what, and they make your deck a lot better, and they don't take the spot of another spell, and you're going to usually have enough spells in this format. Let's see here. I mean, Brainstorm's fine. It's fine. It does what Brainstorm does, but I want to keep my options open. There's nothing really pulling me in any other directions here except for maybe this Goblin, but it's really not that great either, so I'll just have to sigh and take the Brainstorm here. All right, so what came back? Obsessive Search and the Bodyguard. So the white cards definitely got snatched up, as we would expect. I'm just going to take the Obsessive Search here and try to stay as open as possible. Another Benevolent Bodyguard, but that card's just not exciting in the control deck, so I'm going to take the Owl Familiar here. And there's a Falter. One of these two. Probably just take the Shelter. And a Sorcerer. And an Obsessive Search. Okay, so we're fairly solidly in blue. I love Battle Screech, but man, we could pretty much go any direction heading into the second pack here. We got a couple more picks, or maybe one more. Yeah, 2 more. Wow, yeah, so blue's pretty open here. Let's actually just take Temporal Fissure over the second Krovikan Sorcerer, as that one very well may not make the main deck anyway. This might not either, but we are kind of tilting in that direction a little bit. So yeah, if we open really good white cards, we'll definitely go for those here. We don't expect to get past a lot of great white cards because we shipped like an Eternal Dragon and a Swords of Plowshare. So, this is not the pack where we would expect to really make up a lot of ground on the white cards anyway. So yeah, we'll keep that in mind. But we opened a nice pack here with a lot of different options. Crater Hellion's pretty good, 6 mana, 4 damage to each other creature. So it pretty much just wipes the board. It's got Echo, but you don't really care about that by the time it comes down. We could take it and try to be blue-red, but there's really good colorless and blue options in this pack already, and I don't think I need to do that. So I'm just going to take the second Su-Chi here. Roar of the Worm is actually also an option now that I look at it. We have Discard Outlet. What else? I thought we had another. Yeah, this one here. Interesting. Roar of the Worm could be interesting, but I think it's still better just to keep it simple and take the Su-Chi there, as it's colorless, very easy to cast, and is going to go in the deck no matter what. What have we? Well, there's a Beetleback Chief. There's a Goblin War Chief. And then there's some mediocre blue cards. Like I like Ophidian a lot, but so far this isn't a great Ophidian deck. I feel like just taking the Beetleback Chief and just sort of keeping that open. There's not a great white card for us here either. A Chroma's Blessing's fine. It's a good card. Like, we would run it, but these are premium. Like, this is a premium card right here. This is a premium card. These are really hard to get. So I'm going to take the Beetleback Chief and just sort of dip my toe in, see what pops up. All right, so a lot of good options in red here. A Goblin General, a Kindle. There's also, though, just a Deep Analysis in our base color of blue. And there's even an Arrogant Worm here in green, so that we could jump over into green. I mean, green felt a little bit openish. Goblin General is just like, man, if we take it and we end up being in goblins, we'll be really happy. But if we don't, if we take it and we're not in goblins, it's basically unplayable. We're like Beetleback Chief, if we're blue-red, is good just on its own. Like, it doesn't need anything. Another good white card here, Soltari Emissary. I like that one a ton. Oh, fine. I'm just going to take Deep Analysis here and be boring. Yeah, there's a lot of goblins here. Goblin Trenches is ridiculous. There's another general. So, yeah, maybe it's time to just jump on board. We could just take a Counterspell as well, or even a Circular Logic. They're both really good. I mean, Trenches is the best card in this pack. And we could certainly... Like, the problem is we can't splash Beetleback Chief and Battle Screech, so we have to sort of pick a poison there. But why don't we take Trenches and see where we go? We might be able to splash it. Yeah, here we go. Another Beetleback Chief. Sign me up for that. Here's a Grand Colosseum. Now, there is a couple of playable cards for us down here, but I think we just actually want this Colosseum, because it looks like our mana is going to start to get a little sketchy here down the stretch. Wow, nothing in here for us. That's weird. Take a Logic. So we might end up ditching the Battle Screech and the Shelter and just splashing for Goblin Trenches here with double Beetleback Chief. I don't hate the sound of this. And here's a Counterspell. That's a nice pickup for us. I like that a lot. I like having Factor of Fiction or Deep Analysis to draw. So we see that the blue cards are still looking quite open for us here. Probably just want an Ophidian over a Choking Tethers. Ophidian's good. I mean, Ophidian blocks, it attacks, and it kind of demands respect. I mean, they don't need much to get in the way, but they need something. And, you know, you pair it up with my home skillet over here, and you can start drawing cards. All right, an Ivory Tower. So, yeah, I'll just take a Skywing Aven number 2. Let's get rid of this Sorcerer for now. There's a Circular Logic. That guy might come back if we end up with a bunch of those. What's good against us? I guess this one. Yeah, and blue is just wide open, which is nice. It's making our life easy as far as we get to dirtle around picking what we want our second color to be, but our main color of blue is just, I mean, we got that Counterspell back. That was a pretty late Repel. Repel's a solid spell. Usually makes the cut. So yeah, we've got this Floodplain. That's going to help us splash the Trenches here. And same with the Grand Colosseum. And then we've got the Lonely Sandbar. And we'll pick up a few more. Like, this, interestingly, just still isn't really a, a traditional like goblin deck. It's just value goblins at the end here. The trenches and a beetleback. Ooh, a foil council's judgment. That's interesting. Not really seeing a ton else here for us. I mean, the Battle Screech #2, but we're just kind of not that deck at this point. We could definitely take a Solar Blast. I think I just want to take the sweet foil rare here. Like, Solar Blast isn't super exciting. Then we'll just take it. And we're not going to run it, though, most likely. Really good card. Okay. There's another Arrogant Worm, but we got shipped to Trop, and yeah, Vintage Masters is a tough world, and you can't really pass these. That's just not how this format goes. So it looks like white somehow ended up being quite open in this last pack. It makes sense. Remember, we passed in the first pack a bunch of really good white cards, so they got cut off in the second, and now the people to our right are shipping us really good white cards. I think we just take Prophetic Bolt here, though. Like, Eternal Dragon, sweet, but what are you going to do? Like, we can't really splash a double white spell. We can get away with the trenches on white, but this is in our two main colors anyway, and Prophetic Bolt is, well, it's fantastic. All right, so we got an Upheaval. We do have one Mana Prism to, air quotes, abuse our Upheaval. Man, I don't think that Upheaval is really what this deck wants to do. There's two different schools of thought with Upheaval. There's people that think that you always run it in every blue deck. And there's people that think that you only run it when you can really get a big advantage off of it. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I think it's still a powerful card, but I'm not excited to run it. That said, there's really not much going on here. I don't think I want my third Circular Logic. This is an off-color splash. So I'm going to take Upheaval here, and we'll keep it in mind, but yeah, not super excited about it here. Wait, what does this do? Whoa. Yeah, I heard about that card. I haven't actually played with or against it yet, but we're going to today, kids. Dax Duplicate. That's sick. Look at the picture. It reminds me of Total Recall, like when he... Anyway, old school. Deep Analysis #2. Yeah. I can't help myself. And then, wow, a whole bunch of black cards. Look at this pack. Boom, 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 boom. All black cards. That's pretty sweet. But none of them for us. We'll just take a Killer Whale randomly, and maybe we'll play it, maybe we won't. By the way, I saw a real one of these on the weekend. It was really cool. It looked similar to that, but maybe not quite exactly the same. Penumbra, Choking Tethers, or Scrivener. What do we get back with Scrivener? We get back Brainstorm, Obsessive Search, Counterspell, Circular Logic. Neither. Factor Fiction. That's interesting. Repel. That's a creature. Yeah, Scrivener it is. And I like a Rescind. I think the card's just generally kind of good. I like having access to it. We don't always run it, but sometimes it's good. I don't want my 100th one of these things, so I'm just going to take this Deathblade Elite because it gets annoying. Anyway, yeah, I was on a ferry coming back from Canada, and we saw some whales. It was really cool. All right, somehow we just became a Scrivener deck, but that's okay. What is going on? All right, the beta decides to blank out my whole screen to show me a message. I'll have to get to that one in a second. Maybe I can... Oh, there we go. No, still not doing it the way I want. All right. Thalkalos Drifters, absolutely. Power Sink, absolutely, too. And then there's a Provoke that we don't want. All right, so obviously, again, and I think this is illustrative of what I was talking about earlier. Look how many playables we have here. We've got 32 playables. From the build that we have here, we're going to have to cut, like, what, 11 cards or something, right? Or 9 cards. I mean, it's ridiculous. So this is where cards like Lonely Sandbar start to look way, way, way better, because I took that card pretty high in the draft, and it's not a super exciting card in the sense that, well, it makes mana sometimes or it draws you cards sometimes, but this is going to be in the deck. Like, these mediocre cards, their third Scrivener. Like, we don't know if those are going to make the cut when you take them. But when you take a Lonely Sandbar, that's going to be in the deck, and it's not going to take one of these slots. Really important. So let's get rid of probably a couple Scriveners, probably a Temporal Fisher. I don't really see how we're going off with that. I don't think I like Mana Prism that much. I don't think we want Upheaval that much either. I don't like Killer Whale. Man, our 4-drops are insane. We really do want to be able to discard at least one or two of these Deep Analysis, though, at some point. I've got some discard outlets for it, so I'm not too concerned. Let's get rid of these Obsessive Searches and probably just Brainstorm. Let's see, that leaves us with Counterspell Familiar. We can probably get rid of a Circular Logic and bring back in, like, say, an Obsessive Search or something. I don't want to get overloaded on Circular Logic. We don't really have the free ways to discard it, so it's going to be like occasionally we'll have out a Thakkalos Drifters or a Skywing Aven and we'll Circular, or we'll just hard cast it, but we're not really like wheeling through our deck really quickly, so I'm not super excited on it. There's Power Sync there. Very much a control deck here. Ophidian looks a little bit out of place for sure, but I actually like it just as a blocker, and then occasionally if our opponent doesn't do much, if you're playing against a Storm deck that's taking a while to set up, you can Ophidian them. Okay. Okay, I rebuilt. So let's see. We've got the Obsessive Search, Double Deep Analysis, Factor Fiction. This isn't right. There we go. Tons of 4-drops. Feels like we actually just want to run 18 lands here anyway. Or cut a 4. We really have a lot to do with our mana here, and we're going to have no problem hitting, using up our mana when we have the extra cards with 3 premium draw spells available. So I think we just cut the Obsessive Search and just go for 18 lands here. And we're going to play the Sandbar, the Colosseum, and the Floodplain. I'd love to get this Council's Judgment and Battle Screech in. I just feel like it's going to be fighting for the Beetleback Chiefs a little too hard here. The Battle Screech also significantly worse if you can't flash it back, which we can technically. These are red and white, but we're not realistically doing that. Council's Judgment still is just essentially just a 1-for-1. It's not like a great thing. We could switch up our deck if we feel like we really need it for some specific reason, but I feel like not going to be often enough that we're going to be able to really get it back. So let us see what this thing wants to do. It wants to do 1 plains, so that gives us essentially 3 white sources for our Goblin Trenches, which is pretty good. And then, of course, we need a lot of islands here. Let's see what this looks like after we do this. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not. It's only 5 red sources though, so we need to tick that a little bit here. So this leaves us as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 still, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is much better. That's what we want to be. And we're obviously heavy blue deck. We need to have blue early. But yeah, all right. So blue, red, splash white. Haven't done this exact color yet, I don't think. So we'll see how it does.
If you'd like to purchase Magic Online cards at competitive prices, check out our web store at mtgoacademy.com/store.
Okay, first round. Would I like to mulligan to 6 cards or keep this hand? Interestingly, we're just going to snap keep this one, I think, because we've already got all of our mana, well, except for Counterspell mana, which is a little bit annoying, I'll admit. Benevolent Bodyguard changes things. Mainly just because it shows us what kind of a deck we could be facing here, and that's a little bit annoying for sure. Ophidian's a nice draw for us, though, against a 1/1, so I like that. Trooper, very annoying. All right, well, we've got Power Sync now. So we can counterspell. We can counter a 3-drop, but we're going to take a beating from that Soltari Trooper. Cycle Secluded Step, sure. And of course, just pass the turn. Play an Ophidian. Your move. So Ophidian will hold Benevolent Bodyguard at bay, which it's decent. The real question is, does he have a play here? Because if Ophidian starts getting through, then that's great for us. Bad case, he plays like that 2/2 flyer. Just any 2/2 is really annoying here. Cycle Expunge, and now he's going to do nothing. All right, I like it. All right, so let's battle. I definitely shouldn't have played that land first. I was thinking that I might want to power sync something in the middle of combat here. But realistically, that's pretty unlikely, and we might draw like a blue land that I actually want to play. Shouldn't matter here, because my plan is pretty straightforward. I'm going to leave up my counterspell, and I'm going to leave up my Factor Fiction here. And then next turn, I'm probably just going to play Trenches and start making creatures. That seems like a reasonable plan. All right, Psychotog, though, sort of needs to get power sunk here. Not that it's amazing versus us, but I don't want to let him have anything. This basically time walks him, so we get to use this. Okay, Prophetic Bolt is great here. I'm still going to keep attacking. I can take 1 damage from Benevolent Bodyguard and not feel too bad about it. And we even draw the nuts here. Sort of. Definitely playing the island. So I can just Prophetic Bolt the Soltari Trooper, but I also have the option to take a little bit more damage here and leave up Counterspell. I can also just play Goblin Trenches and leave up Counterspell. And I think that's probably the play. Let's play Trenches. Leave up Counterspell here. The Trenches, just the threat of activating it makes the Benevolent Bodyguard not be able to attack. And that's a big deal here because it's going to sack itself to get the Trooper anyway, but I don't want to take any more damage from it than I have to. This one. Remember, Prophetic Bolt can also hit the face, and that's a pretty big deal here. So let's battle. I think I just say go here. He's going for something big that costs 5. It's Gush. And he's just hard casting it. Let's Circular Logic that. And leave up Counterspell and or Goblin Trenches again. Now, Thalkalos Drifters is going to come down next turn thanks to this extra island here. Yeah, that makes sense. I've already used up the white that I need to anyway. And the Drifters... I can't leave up Counterspell and do this. It's a little bit awkward. But the Drifters is sweet because it can block the Trooper. But I really need to be able to leave Counterspell up. Right, so he's going to choking tethers my Ophidian. That's fine. Not saying I'm in love with it, but it's okay. And I probably just need to cast Aven here. No problem. Okay, we're going to go to 5 here. That's fine. Probably just going to counter whatever this is. Absolutely going to counter this. Yeah, he can't flash it back right now. Good draw. Rescind is a nice pickup here, actually. Yep, Psychotog's no problem at this point. It's not white. It doesn't have flying. I can just make chump blocks for it, so it's not really a big deal. All right, he's not even attacking anymore, so this is getting very good for us. Let's go ahead and make more goblins. Draw Suchi for the turn. All right, so what should we do here? Attacking with all of our goblins seems like an easy one. There's really no point in attacking with Ophidian. It's just going to get blocked by Psychotog. No, actually there is a point, because then he has to block it with Psychotog, and then these things get through. Yeah, so let's just do that. Attack, 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 attack. And do I want to attack with drifters here? That's a big question. I feel like we don't really need to here. Let's see, 3, that's 9. It's actually lethal if I do it. Forces a block on something. Yeah. And I think I'm going to discard Suchi to make it only blockable by this. That way he can't eat it with Psychotog. If he wants to eat Ophidian with Psychotog, then he's going to take a bunch of extra damage, and I'm fine with that. Perfect. So I can bolt him. I'm just go for the kill right now. He's got 1 card in his hand. The problem is, if that card answers it, I die to Psychotog. So yeah. So what I need to make him do here... So what he's going to do is he's going to attack. I'm going to make a couple of goblins. And then he's going to sack this to give this thing protection from white or whatever. And then I need to rescind the Psychotog. If I rescind the Psychotog, he loses. Like if it happens, he loses. If it doesn't happen, I lose. So actually, in retrospect, I think I like leaving 1 blue creature back, like attack with all the goblins and leave back like Ophidian or whatever. Lose a goblin. I like making him chump block with Sultari Trooper, but and so I'm glad we did that. But I think I just leave back Ophidian because I really could use a blue creature so that he can't, like if he has both things, then he can't make this thing completely unblockable. So I think what I do is I ship the turn back, and on his upkeep, I rescind his Psychotog. He can sack this to give it pro blue, but then he can't get around my blockers without like another one of these. So let's do that. Sure. It's very jarring how that thing just takes over. So, his upkeep. I'm not going to get greedy here. Okay, so he's going to do that. That makes sense. But now he's going to need Shelter or Benevolent. He needs like these very narrow subset of cards to actually get that Psychotog in. But yeah, if I just would have left, well, you know, actually, it's funny. It doesn't actually change it because then it has pro blue anyway from my rescind. Anyway, we'll review that play, or at least I will, in a little bit. What are we looking at from this opponent here? Not a ton, honestly. I mean, his deck's not great. It feels like Battle Screech is an issue. Like that's one that we're going to have a hard time with because he's going to be able to do it. And then of course his what's it called? Shadow Attacker is bad for us. Don't really see a lot of ways for us to interact, unfortunately. I could put in another Scrivener and go for the full value here, but I think this is okay. Yeah. All right. I mean, I like how that game played out for us. This one looks pretty good too. We'll keep this one. Could potentially go Mana War into Beetleback here. Even if we don't, double Suchi if we draw another land is pretty powerful. I mean, just going like turn 4, turn 5, 4/4s can be really strong. It can be pretty tough for other decks to get around. Owl Familiar. Owl Familiar is probably pretty good here, actually. Draw Prophetic Bolt. Probably just discarding it here. Oh, for goodness sakes. I could also discard Beetleback Chief as we don't have double red yet. And I've already got plenty of 4-drops to play here. I'm going to be playing Suchi into Suchi. If we get lucky and draw lands. I could also just ditch Scrivener. The reason why I was thinking of ditching Prophetic Bolt is because I can just cast Scrivener later on down the line and just get it back. But I kind of like the idea of casting it and then casting Scrivener to get it back. So I'm just going to get rid of Beetleback Chief here and just say, well, we've got plenty of stuff to do at 4-drop right now. And we don't even have our 4th mana anyway. It needs to be specifically a red mana source, so this is better. All right, so he has the identical start that he did in the first game. Pretty annoying, but not a huge deal. Speaking of annoying, Grand Coliseum, huh? Big decision here. If we want to play it tapped, do nothing for the turn, or if we want a Mana War, I guess we just play it tapped and just say go here. A little bit annoying, but maybe it works in our favor anyway, because then we just play Suchi, which is just bigger than anything he's doing here, and then either another Suchi or a Mana War. And then we have Prophetic Bolt, hopefully, to take care of some business. He's cycling Expunge. This is like exactly like last time. All right, so let's play. Which one? Foil one? No, we'll play the regular one first. Sure, I think we actually do start beating down. Prefer to be a little more conservative, I think, with stuff like getting in for 1 damage, but I think what's going to end up happening is the Suchis are probably going to start taking over pretty quickly here, because that's going to be the biggest thing on the battlefield. What was up with no attack? What did I miss here? All right, well, I'm battling. And I've got Prophetic Bolt backup plan here as well. Taking it? All right. How about another Suchi? Counter that, circular logic or something? All right, that's fine. That much I can handle. Another bodyguard. Probably just going to Mana War away this Sultari Trooper here and just keep battling. And we're hitting him a lot harder than he's hitting us. I think that like the tendency when you're playing a deck like we are, our deck is more of a control deck, right? We're looking to go long game. We have inevitability. But when you look at a game like this, we are ahead on board. We're ahead on the damage race and we're ahead on board. Like he's missing land drops, we're not. And I think we just get to kind of start getting him here. I think we just want a deep analysis here. That doesn't seem right. Because playing Mana War doesn't really do a ton here anyway. All right, let's fight. Let's just attack with Suchi this time. I'm willing to block my Owl on either of these Benevolent Bodyguards, and I don't want to trade 1 damage for 2 damage. All right, so he's going to start throwing away his Benevolent Bodyguards. Well, if I knew he was going to do that, I would have shipped with the Owl. But I didn't know that. And, yeah. We've got a little bit of room to work here. Taking 2. Probably Mana Warring whatever this is. Oh, yes. Jeez. Maybe we might even just want to snap that thing off with Prophetic Bolt. He would Benevolent Bodyguard, but it doesn't really change much there. Especially because we can just Scrivener it back at some point here. I mean, we've got the long game pretty locked up. We have Goblin Trenches, we have basically two Prophetic Bolts, and we even have a Mana War here. The question is, do I want to Mana War this away and attack with both? And then play Goblin Trenches? Or do I want to just start Prophetic Bolting stuff? All right, I think I can wait. So let's Mana War. Especially if we can dig this, get this Benevolent Bodyguard out of the way and make it so that our Prophetic Bolt actually kills Brago. Would be sweet. And frankly, Brago's not amazing here. Brago, though, has the ability to get quite amazing very quickly here. But we've actually got lethal with our Prophetic Bolt. Oh, he's gushing here? Oh, yes. I am quite happy to see that, I have to say. Oh, Baleful Strix, that's a good one. Ah, he's going to start bouncing it too. I like that. I like this. This is sweet from his side. He could also have like a removal spell here and really kind of get us. So he blinks everything. Gets an extra card off of Baleful Strix. This is nice. I definitely respect what's happening on his side of the board here. I think I kill Brago here. Yeah, I think I just killed Brago. Get rid of a bunch of land, so that's nice. Could rescind Baleful Strix. That lets me attack with Suchi. I think I should do that. At this point, cards in hand is not important. Like, he's discarding. So giving him an extra card draw off of that doesn't really matter. And this lets us bash with the whole team here. Probably going to just chump. Oh, he can't even chump block, so he's taking 7 here. And are we going to have 10 mana? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, we'll have 9. So we can't actually Prophetic Bolt him out, but we should be able to just kill him. Attack with everything, make him block with... I mean, what's he going to do? He's going to play the Strix. That blocks Suchi, but then he takes 3 and he's dead. So he needs something that costs 2. Okay. So he... Ooh, cast and flashbacked that thing. That's pretty good. He does need to block with 2 of these creatures, though, here, right? So if I attack with everything, he has to block 1 on Suchi. 2, and then he takes 3. So yeah, oh, that's close. Man, that's really close. He actually has to block 2 things, or else we would just be straight up dead. Wow, this has gotten very tight. Even then, we're going to be at 1 if he has pretty much anything we could die here. So let's Scriven back. Oh, rescind? I can just get back rescind here. I was just going to get Bolt back, but everything's lethal anyway. So could I have just killed him? Let's see. I Scriven back rescind. I rescind a bird. Attack with everything. He blocks here. He dies. Yeah, so I could have just killed him. That was loose. I kept my mentality was I'm going to get back Prophetic Bolt. That's what I'm going to get back. But I could have just got rescind. I just forgot it was there. And if I would have seen that, I would have done that, of course. All right. Well, we're on to the second round either way.
Curious about the price of a Magic Online card? Try our searchable price guide on the right sidebar of any MTGOacademy.com page.
All right. We're going to be playing first here in this next round. And we got a mulligan this one, sadly. I think we can keep this one. We get to cycle rescind, or if we draw blue, we get to, get rid of something and kind of keep things moving forward. So I don't love it, obviously, on 2 mountains, but we can keep it. We've got, what, 10 or 11 blue sources in this deck. It's not that hard to find one. Ta-da. Don't actually know what to get rid of here. Probably circular logic. Choose what? Oh, right, because it's got madness. Sure. I'm like, what do you want me to do, Magic Online? Yeah, I don't think Circular Logic's doing much here in the early stages anyway. And I'd much rather just play a Skywing Aven and an Owl Familiar and start beating down. All right, so we're playing against Goblins potentially here. There's our third color, so that's nice. Battle mode. And then, yeah, I think we just play out the Skywing Aven here and say go. So, yeah, not a great draw from us by any stretch. Hopefully he also has a bad draw, though. Don't think I can realistically block here. We're just ahead right now. He's cycling lands. We don't even know if he has a play for the turn. I've got Rescind in hand to keep him off balance. Yeah, it feels like we need to just keep swinging for 3 here. Banalis Trapper, no problem. We'll rescind that after we play Thakalos Drifters. So, yeah, this is working out okay for us. Now all of a sudden we have 2 different discard outlets for our Logic, but still no cards in yard. This is where our deck should shine, though. We've got double Deep Analysis and... All right, so he's cycling again. So this is good. And we've also got the Factor Fiction floating around. And once we draw one of those, we should be able to pull back ahead as far as cards go. Yeah, he can't really get aggressive here and tap down our Drifters and then go for a Hulking Goblin attack because he ends up taking 6 on the crackback, which is more than he'd like. Now, he could also assume, though, that I'm just going to pitch a card to Drifters and get in there anyway, but I think he's just got to... Oh, he's going to Reckless Charge. Interesting. I think I'm still just taking here, though, because I can keep this Rescind up for when he decides to fire off the other half of that Reckless Charge if I want. I can also just bounce his Trapper on the next end step. In the meantime, he's still taking 3 here. He has swung the damage race back in his favor slightly, though, which is certainly annoying. I think I keep playing lands here. I do need to leave something in hand that I can discard, but our deck is, with all those draw cards, draw spells, we really do need to be able to... I think I'm just going to take this. We do need to be able to play a draw spell and then play a spell after it, too, and that requires just playing out lands. And frankly, using these right now isn't like a huge priority. All right, so let's rescind this. And draw action. Oh, yeah, baby. That's action. Ship the team. Hope he doesn't have Exile. Whatever it's called. Probably does. He's got 5 cards in his hand. He did nothing. Got to have something here, right, buddy? Renewed Faith. You gain 6 life. All right. Not what I expected to see, I won't lie, but sure. Play the Big Chief, which is really sweet here, and say go. Still need to find one of our draw spells to really feel like we can power through this game, but that's not too bad for him either. All right, we'll just snap this block off. And this is going to be a... Oh. Ooh, that's bad. All right, well. Let's get this back in our hand. And watch the rest of our team die. Yuck. Sandbar. Mountain. Well, that is a proper blowout, I can't lie. I think I just take this hit, actually. Go to 5. Draw something sweet. No. Now I have to do the old block and bounce here. If he has any way to... so now we're just dead. He gets a reckless charge that. And finish us off. Well, that sucks. At least we know about Crater Hellion, and we're pretty resilient to it thanks to our counter spells, but we just didn't draw any of them this game. So, yeah. Okay, let's see if we can come up with something, a game plan that works well against what our opponent's trying to do here. What is this? All right. Is there anything that's particularly bad against this player? No? No, I kind of like what we're doing here against him. Counterspell, Power Sync, Circular Logic. Maybe we want one more. Instead of like the Rescind, which is just sort of mediocre. We're going to be keeping this one. We've got all of our colors. We've got a familiar to shuffle or to get rid of one of these lands, and then we've got a turn 3 Ophidian on the play. And if he's off to a slow start, we can generate a bunch of advantage from our Ophidian. So I like hands. I like land heavy hands like this in decks that have a bunch of card drawing like ours does. Even though we haven't really seemed to draw much of it yet. Let's just get rid of this island. Say go. See what he comes up with on turn 2. It is a Hulking Goblin. Perfect. Ophidian. Go. Attack you go. And we've got a repel. So if his play is to play something that can block Ophidian, we're going to just repel the hell out of the thing. And get in there with Ophidian. Probably not going to block the goblin. He is going to attack with it. The thing is, I don't... Like, if he's got Kindle, fine. But it's Spark Spray. I don't want to turn on Spark Spray. That's what I'm really worried about here. He didn't even bother attacking, so that was nice. All right. Let's get aggressive here. We've got reloads here later, and we're going to get a card draw here too, so... there you go. Ooh, nice. Sort of. Okay. And say go. So we can Scrivener back the repel at some point here. I think what's going to happen is he's probably going to just replay his guy, and we're probably just going to play Deep Analysis or Beetleback Chief next turn. Instead of trying to play the Phantom Nomad game too much. Oh, he's going to attack us? Oh, wow. Super aggressive. Okay. I like this. Beetleback Chief, again, great on blocks, great on attacks. Just a great Magic card in general. Get rid of these tokens here, as they can't attack through the Nomad currently anyway. And I'm pretty thrilled if he uses a burn spell or something to get rid of one token. Goblin Commando to kill this thing. Yeah, I got to be pretty happy with that. Suchi Scrivener. And then we've got the owl to poke away with here. Feels like we probably just want a Suchi here, though. So let's do that. Yeah, if he goes for the big crater guy, then I like our backup plan of like deep analysis and. All right, so I think he just makes this thing big with reckless charge. Just sort of cashes that in, and then if he attacks with everything, we would go block here, block here. If he just attacks with this, we probably just take it. All right, he's not doing that though. It's fine by me. Dax duplicate. Now that's interesting. So I make a thing, it gains haste and dethrone. So like if I copy Suchi, I can attack and it actually, the dethrone will trigger as well and it'll become a 5/5. I can also make a Goblin Commando, kill Hulking Goblin, or actually kill Goblin Commando, and then attack as a 3/3, which is pretty strong here, really. Can make a Phantom Nomad and attack as a 3/3, and it gets another counter as well. Oh man, a lot of good options here. This is quite sweet. We have all of our expensive spells in hand, which is annoying but also awesome because it means, well, we have our good stuff. Feel like just making a Goblin Commando is probably pretty sweet here. So let's do that. It's either that or the Nomad. But I think I just like taking a 2-for-1 here and getting the creature count down on his side. This gives me some really nice attacks too. Kill that. No blocks. He goes down to 8 and we say go. Noble Templar, okay. Beetleback Chief number 2. All right, so things are coming around pretty good for us here. Scrivener. I think we probably just want a deep analysis and then Beetleback Chief here. The repel getting rid of this is really nice. The problem is I can't do them both. But I might just want to set that play up actually for next turn. So I think I'm going to do that. What happens if I attack with everything here? He chump blocks here. He eats this thing. Interesting. He takes a couple of damage. I think it's better just attack with the owl, though. This is a tough choice. Scrivener getting Repel is a pretty big game, but Deep Analysis into land Beetleback Chief is nice. And Deep Analysis can find us all types of stuff too. Let's go for that. All right, we find literal uncastables. So I think we do flash it back. And still have the uncastables. Go ahead. Yeah, this is not the type of stuff we wanted to see. I mean, these are obviously fine spells, and they're spells, and that's nice. But they're not really, like we wanted a bounce spell or, you know, something that next turn we can use to get rid of the Noble Templar. I really love that we're going to have a counter spell up, though. He's got to do something right now to really get us here, and I like that a lot. If we draw a land, we'll have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so he's going to Reckless Charge Hulking Goblin, which we're just going to trade off for the Goblin Commando here, I think. Maybe even the Ophidian. We might just chump with Ophidian here. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay. Ooh. That's a good one, too. So we've got 5, 1, 2, 3. So we don't have enough to play Scrivener and have Repel, but we can play Scrivener and have Counterspell up, which is nice. So let's just attack with the Owl again, and we're not going to be able to kill him this turn. But we can Scriven. And say go. Scrivener gives us an additional blocker here. All we really need to do is either stay alive for 1 or 2 turns. It depends on how our opponent plays this. Because if Owl Familiar hits twice, then Prophetic Bolt kills him. Don't see any great attacks for him here, though. Could even just double block here with this and Scrivener. I'm just going to block like that. I think the main thing is, so the deal is if I double block and he's got a spell, I can counter it and kind of get him. But I don't actually care about any of that stuff. The only thing I care about is a spell that he plays that kills me. Like that's like if he fires off some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, like if I let him get in a couple times and then he kills me with like Torch plus whatever, that's what I'm worried about. And that's much more concerning here. The other card I'm thinking about is the gain 6 life card from him. That can be a big issue here as well. So I think I just need to take this slow. I've got all the tools I need to win this game. I've got the counter spell in my hand. I've got the things that I need to do to win. I don't think I need to get too ahead of myself here. I think that a Prophetic Bolt is going to do some work here. So I think I just attack with this. I mean, I could move all in here and attack, but I just don't. I'm at 10. Like, I'm okay here. And I'm just going to say go. And my plan here is to leave up Repel, Counterspell, and then I'm going to bolt him on end step to try to finish him off here. And he might just scoop because Owl Familiar is lethal. He also might have that gain 6 life spell, and that's the kind of thing I want to really play around here. All right, he's going to kill my Owl Familiar. Also, I can't interact with that anyway, but I don't think I would care. Right now I have lethal on the battlefield. Okay, so he scoops. Okay. So that went a little better for us. Again, I really like having the access to the extra counter spells against a deck like his. I think that's really important. You know, that whole first game came down to that Crater and Crater Hellion or whatever it's called. And if we didn't have that, then if we would have countered that, then I think we would have won that game pretty easily. All right, this looks like a keep. Hopefully he doesn't have too quick of a start. But we've got some nice plans here, even if he does. Ooh, that's a good one too. So Counterspell plus Mana War means that we can get around a lot of things that he does early. Him not having that would have been really nice, but it also would have been asking quite a bit. No problem. I'm just going to play a Skywing Haven here. And I'm just going to block. Probably. Or actually, I might not even block. I might just Mana War and use Mana War to trade with Hulking Goblin. Yeah, that sounds better. Normally, I would be fine with just snap blocking here, but Skywing Haven looks to be our win condition here. Okay. That's a little bit annoying, but it's not that big of a deal. Just play another one. Let's just set up the Air Force and then sit on Circular Logic, Power Sync, Counterspell, and Mana War for the rest of the game. Like if we get past this turn, I think we're in pretty good shape. We're start taking chunks of 4 damage out of him every turn. Ooh. Ooh, that's bad. That's super bad for us. We actually can't beat that. Oh, man, now we just have to get really lucky and hope he doesn't have very many cyclers around. Wow, that's bad for us. Just epically bad for us. Mana War? All right, we're back. No, it's not bad. Here we go. And the worst possible, too. Oh, my goodness. This is just disgusting. sure what to discard here. Guess logic. Yeah, that sucks. You know, that one turn where like we have the two Skywing Avens and we're just hoping to get through that turn. This is exactly what we didn't want to see. Like some big creature, whatever, we just mana war it, some whatever it is, it didn't really matter. It was just this. All right, so he's got Crater Hellion and we just discarded our logic, so we can't do that now. I don't know if that's a mistake or not. It probably is. And we don't have our counter spell up because he blew up that random land. So yeah, this is just painful. So how can we get out of this? He's going to start hitting us, but we get to keep hitting him too. All right, I think I'm going to go for Factor Fiction here because the way I see it, he's going to use this turn to keep his Crater Hellion alive, and Factor Fiction lets us find something like Repel or something that we can do to get that thing out of the way. Wow, he didn't attack. All right, I love that. Prophetic Bolt could help. Probably just want Prophetic Bolt here. Gets us another card, and basically what we want to do is now try to find trenches, right? I think trenches is our number one game plan at this point. Trenches, duplicate, can block it, repel, and then any of these card draw, or even like a Beetleback Chief would be great too. So yeah, I think that we just want to do the Prophetic Bolt thing here. So I think I'm just probably going to dome him with it. Take this hit here. Can't really take another hit from it. Trapper doesn't matter. Actually, Trapper might matter. Let's kill the Trapper. I don't think we're going to be able to get him anyway. All right, we found the duplicate. Let's take the duplicate here. Draw. Beetleback Chief. All right, we can't cast it yet. But we've got plenty of red sources floating around, so hopefully we'll be able to cast it at some point. I can play Dax Duplicate here. That would kill this. I cannot pay for the Echo, but it should keep us alive an extra turn because it threatens to block the Crater Hellion. If we had the red mana source, I'd probably just play Beetleback Chief, chump block here, and then Dax Duplicate the Beetleback Chief as well. Thing's going to have haste, and it's going to be able to attack for 7. Interesting. This Wall of Diffusion actually ends up being super important in that case because, because then if I can Scriven back my Prophetic Bolt, it's lethal. So let's duplicate this. Can't really attack. I'd love to be able to attack there, but the problem is we're one Lightning Rift activation away from death plus one hit from that. So if he has any cyclers, we would just die then. Yeah, so here he goes. Gain 2 life. Ooh, that's lucky. It's other creatures and not that one. So if he has a way to get, like, to shelter this thing, then we lose. Okay, so we have some draw steps to make here, kids. And Mountain would be sweet. Scrivener might save us, but probably doesn't. Let's see, we can get back Factor Fiction or Bolt. None of these are really great for us. We really need a Mountain here. But I think in the meantime, we can probably just Skywing Aven ×2. It just feels really risky to run Scrivener out there because it needs to chump block here, and if it can't, like if he kills it with Rift, then we just lose on the spot. So yeah, let's just play Skywing Aven. Skywing Aven. And say go. Alright, so he's got one piece of it. He needs another way to kill something, though. He's already done Solar Blast, Renewed Faith, Forgotten Cave, and he's got it. All right. We lose. Yeah, this thing is just so unbeatable, man, especially for our type of deck with a bunch of small creatures. I mean, I like to try to get my Air Force online early where in the... Here, I'll talk about it in a sec. So... The reason, so there's a decision point you have to make there. I can leave up a counter spell on his turn 3 or 4 or whatever that was. Or I can try to get my second flyer down and then have 3 counter spells in hand. And I like to do it the first way, generally speaking, because usually the plays that they make in the early stages, this turn 2, turn 3 plays, you can deal with. I mean, I had a Mana War in my hand. Like, there just wasn't that many spells that I really cared about. It's not like they're resolving their game-ending bomb at that stage in the game, usually. And so I'm pretty happy to just be like, here's 2 flyers. You can play some ground creature, something with that I just don't care about, right? And, you know, maybe you play a tap land and that's it, right? And then I untap and now I've got 3 counter spells and I get to just destroy you because I'm hitting you for 4 in the air every single turn with those 2 2/1 flyers, right? The problem is that Rift actually is exactly a bomb in that scenario. And so by opening up that door, he walked through it correctly and got us pretty good. I mean, that Rift was the game breaker. If he doesn't have the Rift, we win pretty easily, I think. But that's why that card's such a high pick and why people like to play it so much in this set. And there's so many incidental cyclers around too. We didn't even see it until that last game, you know. So yeah, sometimes that happens though. If you guys want to send an email, you can do so lr@lrcast.com, or you can find me on Twitter. Really easy to ask a quick question or just say hi, Marshall_LR. If you want to join the clan, you saw how to do it. Send me a message on Magic Online here, Marshall_LR. I'll get you a clan invite. And last but not least, for all things limited resources, lrcast.com is where you want to go. We'll see you next week.